So I am going to be doing a live for the next 30 days and sharing little bits of how this all began and where it came from. And before it sounds like I just want to talk about myself, I want to be very clear that I tell my story to help you realize, number one, you're not alone. Number two, maybe it will inspire you. And number three, because we're all in this together. And it's funny, I was in therapy today. I go every Tuesday. Totally do it. Y'all should do it. It's the best thing ever. And we were talking about memories and so many things we've suppressed, or at least maybe I have. I think a lot of you have, though. Painful things, things we don't want to think about, and then really great, awesome things. And, you know, it's funny when you walk down memory lane, it's where you come from. It's not where you're going. It's where you come from. And you can either let it define you, or you can allow it to encourage you to know where you come from, but also know where you want to go. So I hope that my past, my stories, my memories, what I've known, can just help you know where you want to go. Maybe it sounds familiar, maybe it sounds different, but I'm hoping one little tiny bit of my story will inspire you to reach out, take the next step, be the best you, or just simply know that we're all in this together. A lot of us have been through similar things, and I think knowing that we're not alone is one of the most comforting things, right? That's what Facebook groups are for, is, you know, you join a Facebook group of people who have PTSD, and now we're all in this together, and everyone's story is different, but everyone can understand each other, support one another. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days. That's my commitment to you and the growth of my business and being true to myself and not letting anything hold me back. So let's do this. I'm going to share a tiny little bit. These are going to be short, sweet, and simple, and they'll just kind of bounce off one another. So day one, I kind of want to talk about, like, where does this come from? And by this, I mean all the unhealth, right? Because as you know, I have an autoimmune disease, and the more in-depth research I do about autoimmune diseases is it comes from an emotional place. It's not just something that accidentally happens. It comes from many times trauma, neglect, all of that. So I used to blame my autoimmune disease for my weight gain, but the truth is that I can remember caring about weight, and we're talking about memories, as far back as like the age of 12 or 13. Not my own, but noticing it, right? It was in my peripheral vision. I noticed when someone looked a certain way. I don't know where that comes from. It's definitely something I'm going to dive deeper in as I continue on this therapy journey, which, like I said in the beginning, I'm absolutely loving. Something great that quarantine brought out for me is I had the time to just say, okay, I need to see someone, like, let's do this thing, you know? So there's no shame in the therapy game. I think the strongest people actually decide to change and face the hard things and take care of them, you know? But I took my first diet book out of the library at the age of, I think I was in 8th grade. I didn't need to be on a diet. I wanted to learn how to eat healthier, but I read through this whole thing and I just got so fixated on it. And, you know, I like I said, I always thought that the weight thing happened when I gained 60 pounds in a span of a few months when I was 20. But that's not really where it started. And now going through the memories and the history and starting to remember, bring things up, I realize this is not just about having needed to lose that 60 pounds I gained, but this is about rewriting a whole narrative that I had in my head in relation to health and weight, dieting, food, right? So the first thing I'm going to leave you with is a meditation that I'm going to leave in the comments below, and I'm just going to finish off with this. There's no end to this live because we're going to go for 30 days talking about this. So the tiny little nugget I'm giving you is, it is not your fault if you are so fixated on it, or that health or dieting or skinny has always been in your mind, because I believe we were conditioned to be that way based on Hollywood standards, based on health standards based on what we thought is beautiful or all that stuff, right? So this can go back to a very young age. And I do this meditation quite often that talks about that. Releasing that ownership of blame on yourself. That doesn't mean you release the ownership of doing something about it, right? If you have actual weight to lose, let's do something about it. But don't forget the mindsets, the loving yourself, the health focus of rewriting some of the damaging internal narratives that we had inside of ourselves from a very, very young age. And I still don't know where mine comes from, but we're working on it. So this meditation that I do, like I said, I'll leave a link to it in the comments, talks about how childhood trauma or neglect can cause you to turn to food for comfort or safety. My biggest goal above everything else is to feel safe, because I didn't feel safe. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But there are things that we do without even realizing why we're doing it. And I think it's important to realize why we're doing it. And this meditation allows you to just center, ground, and stop thinking so much, because that is my biggest issue. It's the constant chatter in my mind of all the things I need to do and all the things I want to achieve and all the right. And you just stop and you realize food is just food. And some days it's more of a struggle than other days. And this meditation has been key. I cried the first time I listened to it. I don't cry because there's some damage. I'm working on that too. But this meditation has just been amazing. So that's what I have for you tonight. That is live 1 of 30, where I just bring you little nuggets and bring you through this journey that started a very, very long time ago. And it is okay to be where you are right now, as long as you know that you are facing forward, not backward.